What is Myles Turner's legacy with the Pacers, and how much did it change based on what happened this offseason from him leaving to now, what he said, and of course, what he did for 10 years with the Pacers? Derek Kramer and I get to all of it today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, something that I've been thinking about a lot this offseason, and even more of late with some center talk in the Pacers sphere, Myles Turner, and specifically the legacy he had with the Pacers, and even more specifically, how much it changed based on how the exit actually happened. So many longevity guys with the Pacers, so many star guys with the Pacers. Where does Myles Turner rank in that, especially considering he's about to play for another team? Well, a perfect guest for that would be somebody who tracked Myles Turner's career closer than anybody, and a Pacers fan, of course, in Derek Kramer from my Pacers blog. We dive into all the aspects of Turner's 10 years with the Pacers and how the last 2 months might change things, what the reception might be when he returns. Really a deep dive here. I hope your appreciation of Turner is at least you think about it differently, maybe not better or worse. Let's just get right to it. Lots of center talk. I wrote about Tony Bradley. Caden Cooper wrote about centers, and we're going to talk about a not anymore Pacers center, but still very relevant to the Pacers offseason discussion center in Myles Turner today, a topic I've wanted to do for a while and just decided to do this week because I think it's very interesting from a fandom perspective, from a statistical perspective, from a historical perspective, and a topic that will once again become a thing on November 3rd. What is Myles Turner's legacy with the Pacers? You get the term legacy attached to your name when you play for a franchise for 10 years, even if you were never like an award-winning kind of guy. And who better to talk about this with me than one, a person who thinks about similar things to me with the Pacers, two, a fan who can give me the fan perspective on the departure, and three, the tracker of the Miles High Club himself. It's Derek Kramer, who is supposed to be off from his Locked On Pacers appearances for the offseason, but I am dragging back in now. Derek, hello, how are you?
I'm good. No, it's kind of weird. I feel like that's what a lot of people know me for, is tracking Myles Turner's blocks. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of new thing to.
I was wondering if you would do you pick a new player because it's like a perfect split of time? Like, does it have to be a Cam Jones thing? Could you start a Mathurin project in retrospect? I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's chase down blocks for Ben Mathurin. He has a few of those. It would be really fun to try to go back and get every person that TJ has gotten a backcourt steal on. That'd be hard.
But that's a lot harder than finding the
blocks is just like click and watch.
Backcourt steals easier one to figure out. Much easier.
So here's why I think the fan perspective is important, because if you just rattle through, and we will do this to be clear on this episode, Myles Turner's career statistics and rankings with the Pacers, you could come up with a very compelling case of just that for his whatever term up. Legacy is going to get annoying to say a million times, but his tenure with the Pacers being very strong. And then he left. And then he left and said things that Pacers fans specifically did not like after he left, right? And that all changes the feeling. And it's obvious, not raw, it's been months, but he hasn't played against them yet. There's been no time for it to desensitize or anything. So how much do you personally feel like the last, I'll say 2 months, but 2 months plus 8 days, basically, since he, chose the Bucks, has changed what you view of Turner and his Pacers tenure, and just in general, that kind of feeling?
Personally, it doesn't affect my view of his tenure with the Pacers. I know it does for others. His comments, I feel like I kind of view it as both sides it's basically they're going through a breakup. Obviously Myles has said some things that fans are going to feel a certain way about, understandably, in some of the cases. I think a lot of the things he said, if you take it with the caveat of, if I was going to leave the Pacers, then he says those things, it doesn't seem as bad for a lot of those things. Because I think his preference was to stay.
I also believe that.
And he just didn't get the contract that he wanted. I think that fourth year was a massive thing that the Pacers never offered. And yeah, things went the way they did. So for me, I don't think these last few months affected his legacy, especially in the long term. I think fans eventually will remember Myles Turner fondly, but that could change depending on how these matchups go. I think that's going to be very interesting.
Agreed.
And like how that goes could affect things. But I think in the long run, eventually he'll still be viewed positively. I mean, one of the just most played games, just that alone. Like we've seen Myles Turner in a Pacers uniform more than 99% of people that have played for the Pacers.
When he got drafted, I just turned 20. That's a long time ago, right? So
Right.
It's kind of been like an interesting cascade of the offseason, right? Picks the Bucks, Shams tweets. So it's like shocking thing one. And then it's because they're a winner kind of thing. And everyone's like, you're just in the finals. It's like, they're going to play against each other. It's going to be weird. And then it's also okay, one, he leaves. Two, he joins a contender, like the team that you just played in the first round 2 years in a row and have like a sort of rivalry thing, not even sort of, like a real rivalry thing going on with that also is like part of it, right? Emotionally. So I think that a lot of people rightly have had their emotional opinion change of him because that all is like very much against the team that they support, which is always really interesting because it's hard to remember the good stuff. Like for me personally, I'll say before we like actually talk about legacy stuff, Myles Turner was one of a few guys who actually changed my opinion of like when players say they can do stuff within reason, of course. But he said for years, like, I could do more with a bigger role. I think I could do these things on offense, blah, blah, blah. And it's like 6 years in and everyone's like, dude, like it's been 6 years. Like, do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you can, you were doing all the things that you said you could do when you're in the situation that you hoped you could be in. So that made me realize a lot of like that kind of stuff. You know, obviously grew from kid to man in Indy and was the thing that I think will be, before we do any stat stuff, is like the reason I think long-term he'll be remembered fondly is to this point, he is the starting center of the best Pacers team ever, right? The most successful Pacers team ever. And like, not that Rick Smits is awesome. Rick Smits has an all-star appearance under his belt. His like actual accolade resume is better, but he also was like statistically like, yeah, you know, if you look back, you're not like, oh my God, all these Rick Smits stats. But he, before that, was the starting center on the best Pacers team ever and had accolades and was only played for the Pacers, and he's very beloved. Like Turner had that kind of path in front of him, and that's now probably harder for him to reach, even though he has the best peak team season as a starter for the Pacers as a center. So it's just really interesting to balance those things, especially like right now before he's played a game in a different uniform.
I think it's like Rick Smits is probably like the big comparison. Like Rick Smits had 12 years and then his career ended. He retired. He had the foot injury. He also ended his career with a disappointing finals. But we don't remember Rick Smits for that. Obviously he was a different player at that point in his career than he was earlier. But it's kind of interesting. Like you look at like Myles Turner comes in this long line of like long-term Pacers centers who were here for 7 to 12 years, and none of them could rebound. We got Rick Smits, we got Roy Hibbert, and we got Myles Turner.
And Jeff Foster, baby. Get him in there.
But I didn't want to include him because I mentioned the can't rebound, and that was the one thing that Jeff Foster did do.
He was also not as good as the other three.
And he was also not as good as the other three. So, like, yeah, like I think he's right in line with those guys. Like he never had the all-star appearance that Rick Smits had or the two that Roy had.
Right.
But it's very comparable in different ways, like careers as a Pacer, legacy as a Pacer. I think they're very similar in those ways.
Yeah, the team success part's going to make that a thing for me for a long time. And like the era to era part of him too, like from PG to Vic to, you know, what just happened, obviously, like that is part of this too. And his statistical resume that we're about to get to is very impressive. So I do think, again, in a couple years or when historical comps do come up for him, like, for example, a stat that's going to be brought up, Tyrese Haliburton is going to pass him in 3-point makes whenever he returns, like that season. It's going to happen most likely. Everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, Myles Turner made a lot of threes for the Pacers. Haliburton's obviously a much better shooter at a much higher volume, but like, that's going to be a thing that's brought up because Haliburton will move into fourth in like his fifth season with the team. But it's, like that kind of stuff, I think when people are like, oh yeah, like that. And maybe this year too, we'll see. This could be wrong. If the Pacers' current centers are awesome, then maybe people will not think about this. But like if Huff and Jackson aren't enough, that will also make people be like, oh, he was pretty good. So I think that appreciation will come, but I don't think it's right for that to happen now. Like now I think I understand why fans are like, the want to win stuff. And I get that the Pacers might have a down year, but like you just made the finals, dude. And the grass is always greener thing people thought was kind of weird. Like I get why people are not thrilled about that stuff.
Yeah, I completely understand why fans would feel the way they do with what Myles has said. The reason why it doesn't bother me as much is because I feel like it's more of a, like I went to a team that I think can win because the Pacers, we couldn't come to an agreement. Like I don't think he's saying the Pacers can't win when he says those things.
I agree with that.
So yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if like his Pacers former teammates do feel a way about it too, and we see that when they play each other. Like I'm really excited for those games this year, maybe more than any of the others, just to see those interactions and how they go. Would love to see Ben Mathurin try to dunk on him just like he did in that picture that he posted on Instagram from when they trained together last summer when the whole team was at Pascal's. So yeah, it's going to be a blast. I mean, that's the beauty of sports, just seeing these kinds of things happen and develop.
About time Pacers Bucks had some real meaning and juice.
Right. Finally, some extra juice to these games.
It's funny because Turner's return game is also the first Pacers Bucks game since John Haliburton, right? Like that game's going to be so crazy. Everybody, quick break. Let's talk about 5-Hour Energy. You can fuel up and turn it up with their new Transfusions. The grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot beer brings the iconic taste of the golf course favorite into a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your game, whether you're out on the course or just need an extra push to power through your day. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without leaving the green. So many memories for many on the golf course. My first birdie with all my friends helping me line up the putt. There's so many ways that people enjoy golf. I'm sure you, if you play, have a favorite memory. It's all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the beverage cart. Now you can amp up your fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two for any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit HEWin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters. Ends October 31st, 2025. Let's actually zoom out and do this conversation because this is a full podcast to me, and I won't do a whole podcast on Myles Turner on November 2nd, so we're doing it right now. His actual longevity resume with the Pacers is sensational. And I think it starts with the thing that you tracked, and that is that for a potentially long time, and honestly, the way the NBA is now, could it, dare I say ever? That seems insane. There will be another good shot blocker on the Pacers. Being number one in blocks, 300 more than Smits, who played more seasons with the Pacers than him, more than J.O., who was better at blocking than him but didn't play as long. 1,400 blocks with one team. That might not happen ever again. And if it does happen again, the earliest it could happen is 2040 or something. That's insane.
Yeah, it's an incredible accomplishment for anybody to put your name on the list of best ever to do this specific thing for a franchise, and he did it in 10 years, and he's got the record by a mile at this point. A whole season, basically, for another player of that caliber and blocking.
You know what's funny is I've talked to you about this a lot. What actually probably hurts his, whatever you want to call it, resume for more memory, more banner, more record booking is that the thing that hurt Myles Turner's career more than anything to this point is that his peak on defense was also Joel Embiid and Rudy Gobert's peak on defense, and came in a time when positions were very, very heavily / required things for all defense, because he never got anything. even though he was 5th in Defensive Player of the Year in 2018-19, he led the league in blocks that year with 199. 200 blocks in season, by the way, is crazy. 5th in Defensive Player of the Year. So if it was positionless like it is now, he makes a first-team all-defense that year, right? That's a crazy good accomplishment. And then 9th in Defensive Player of the Year in 2020-21, when he only plays 47 games and blocks 3.4 per game, and he gets the league lead in blocks per game, even though he didn't make the games threshold, because if he had played the games threshold, he still would have been first, right? Like, he had a monster impact defensively in those years, but that gets no anything for it besides just block champ on the resume because of Gobert was better. Like, and Embiid was better. I'm not trying to take that away from those guys, but he played the same position as them, and that really hurts his chance of like being remembered in that way, besides just like, yes, he blocked more shots than he Pacer because he was that good on defense for a while.
Yeah, like, he was elite. It was just the timing of it all. Like, he wasn't going to get those awards over those other guys at the time. Yeah, like, that's the kind of the one thing that keeps him, like, it's hard to measure, like, when you don't have any of the accolades. And like, Roy's got a little bit of it, Rick's got a little bit, but yeah, like, the just showing up on the ballot for DPOY is like the biggest thing that Myles has gotten.
And all rookie.
Yes.
And all rookie. The fabled all rookie. Chris Duarte has an all rookie. All rookie is quite the interesting award. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Yeah, that's what I think, like, he will forever be remembered by. Some of the other stuff we'll talk about could whatever get passed. Like, the blocks records are going to last for a long time. I'll probably be 50 years old at the earliest by the time his franchise blocks record has a chance to be dethroned, just because of how much time it requires on one team. And he was legitimately that good on defense for a long time. Like, they played the Celtics in the first round in 2018, whatever, and got smoked. They got destroyed in that series. But I remember Kyrie Irving on the presser holding the mic, and he's like, dude, we are so excited when Myles Turner leaves the game because we can actually get to the basket and shoot. And like, people were back then, the discussion with Myles was like, sometimes he's not getting blocks because teams get into the paint and they're like, oh crap, and they just pass, right? Like, he was that level of defender, and that's only the tip of the iceberg of his legacy. Where do you go next, or do you really like think mostly about his defense and that peak level impact?
I don't know. Like, when I think about Myles, like, I think about his rookie year, where like the big calling, like the big moment that everybody remembers, that block on LeBron James, the smothered chicken heard around the world. And then like, I think he got a dunk on the other end, like a possession or two later. And it was just like, whoa, like what could this guy become? And it's kind of like never quite reached that full potential that maybe everybody saw at the very beginning, but still, like, at the end, like with Tyrese, like really hit some like incredible moments. And it's a fascinating career, really. Like, the way that it felt like his numbers were stagnating for like 5-6 years in a row, with Nate McMillan telling him he needs to distribute more, figuring out ways to pass instead of just shooting every time he touches it. And then we got the Turbonis era where he's playing out of position and learning how to play on the perimeter. And then he's finally like, even though that was like a lost time, where he even said, like, I think he like lost the love of basketball because he's not playing.
Every story about him struggling was like, yeah, he doesn't have confidence, right? And he would say that.
Yep. And then he's like playing a position he's never played. But then like eventually those skills that he learned those years like allowed him to play more on the perimeter for this team, but he's still got to play the 5. He's still got to roll to the basket some instead of only popping. And yeah, like we at least got to see like more of what Myles at his peak could be. I don't know if we ever like got what we thought maybe it would be as his rookie year, but like we had some great years at the end.
I remember a couple of things I remember early. One is the people don't remember him starting next to Mahin Me, which was a funny thing that was happening for a second there. Like he was playoffs,
like Game 4 against the Raptors, they moved him to the starting lineup. He was playing the 4 and Mahimi was the 5.
He was about to get a G League assignment, and then someone got hurt, and then he played a bunch ever since. Like never had to go to the Ants. Like people thought of him after that first year so highly. It was like, do they trade this guy for a star? Like now to pair with PG, because it was like, oh, this guy
Apparently that was Paul George's thought because he was like, trade for Anthony Davis, and who else were they going to offer but Myles Turner at the time?
Right. Yeah, even that would not have been enough for Anthony Davis, to be clear.
Right.
But yeah, that is that talking point drove me crazy. Yes, that did. But like that was what his early career was. Is like he played good enough at the 4 and then was making threes and blocks as a second year player. It's like, oh, could this guy be traded for like something awesome? It turns out he was the awesome thing. He was good. But that was his early career stuff. My first like real Turner memory is the Tristan Thompson one, I think, in the playoffs.
The game 7.
Yes.
Tristan Thompson. Yeah. Yep. And that was his like the weakness that showed up, like those big bruising centers, especially early in his career, and they would bully him on the glass. And then, if the whole team wasn't trying to get the boards, and that's been a thing for the Pacers forever. Also, can't get a rebound.
Did he blocked Thompson and dunked on Hayward, or do I have that backwards? Like as like major highlight plays for him.
Yes, there were so many highlight dunks early in his career, all in series that they like got swept or lost. Yeah.
Yes.
I think he dunked.
Like, not like highlight
dunks. Was the
like,
Celtics one, and I think he dunked on Thompson because he missed a jump shot.
Got the
rebound.
Yep.
I think it was Thompson. I'm not sure if it was though.
Oh, I remember that. He cocked it back and everything. He was like,
yeah.
Yeah, like that's some of the early stuff I remember is like it was clear he was good and bad at, and that actually remained for a long time. But also just like, oh my God, this guy's highlights are freaking crazy, man. Like,
are all the Raptor series, all of the blocks that he had on DeMar DeRozan? Like DeRozan is still top 5 in the most blocked by Myles Turner just from that series, like 12 or 13 blocks just from those 7 games.
What made you start that?
I started the Myles High Club. I was just a Twitter joke at the beginning. Like I would just randomly say, this person's been welcome to the Myles High Club when he blocks somebody. And then in the summer, I just decided I'm going to figure out how many times he's blocked everybody and actually track this. And then I just kept doing it.
Never stop. Frequent flyer was the funniest thing. That's such a good idea. Who is number 1 now that it's over here?
His new teammate.
Oh, it's Giannis. That's fine.
It's Giannis because
that makes sense.
That makes sense. Like a lot of the guys that he's on there the most with are the guys that he's played against the most. So Giannis, he's played against like the most by multiple games. They've always been in the same division. So Giannis is number 1 with like 31 times blocked, and then Andre Drummond is number 2, which is funny because there's so many because he's always been in the Central Division almost. Like his entire career, but there's always like so much like, oh, he struggles so much against Drummond.
It's a good times of the Drummond kicks Turner's butt era of the late 2010s.
Right. So, but like, I don't know, that's always one of those things. Like Drummond did that to everybody. Like that's just what he does. Like that's the one thing he does is get rebounds, and that's Myles' like weaker side of things. So, yeah.
So the block part, the defense part, all this stuff from his early career, like launched him to being a 9-year starter, 9.5-year starter, really, which is impressive and hard to do. A lot like most NBA players don't get that long of a career. Most of them don't even get close to starting that much. 1,400 blocks is crazy, but it's not even just that. Like a 10-year career, you do a lot of stuff, especially when you're starting the whole time. So let's just run through some games played. Just simply games in a Pacers uniform. Myles Turner is 6th all time. The 5 in front of him are Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, Vern Fleming, Jeff Foster, and Dale Davis. 4 of those 5 are better players than him. I'll let other old heads speak more about Dale Davis, but like that's
about Vern. You got an opinion on Vern?
Vern was really good. He's probably, I don't know, but it's always like you have to compare to the era, right? Like every player now is better than every player in this era.
You didn't want to give an opinion on Dale Davis, so I just thought maybe you had one on Vern.
I did go back and try to do all that, like who had the best seasons and all that project. So I'm not just like totally lost when I talk about these players, but I still can't compare era to era very well. Yeah. I've yet to come up with a good way to do that.
It's difficult. 100%.
No one asks this podcast about Myles Turner, but like every year in the Olympics, half the track records get broken, right? Like clearly athletes are getting better and training is getting better, right? So I believe that athletes are better now than they were then. That doesn't mean they're more skilled players. Just like you can't compare anything. It's totally different, right? So I don't know. But yes, Vern was very good and certainly had a long Pacers career. Minutes played, he's 8th, which for a center is impressive. By the way, he finished 1 minute behind Herb Williams for 7th. That's not a joke. 1 minute. So if he got 2 more minutes in any game.
If you include playoffs, he probably passes him because Herb wasn't making the playoffs much in his.
I should check playoff stuff because his numbers probably went up quite a bit these last few years. 3-point attempts, he's fourth, and makes, he's fourth. Tyrese Haliburton is going to pass him in those very soon, but that is still remarkable for a center. It's Reggie, Danny, Paul, and Myles. Like that's insane.
Is Buddy like right after that?
Buddy is seventh.
That's so
Myles, Tyrese Haliburton is fifth. Buddy Hield seventh. Do you know who is sixth? An Indiana guy.
An Indiana guy. Who are the other lists? I don't know.
What? Like the rest of the top 10?
Yes, go. Who's the guy? I don't know who it is.
It's Billy Keller.
Oh, I should know that.
You should have got that. That is actually what you could have got. If it was someone random, I would not have made you do that. But that is like a center. This is a center. Like, and through the shifts of the league where this became a thing, right? When he got drafted, like teams were starting Jan Mahinmi and another guy together, right? Like that was a thing that teams were doing. And they were like, yeah, this is correct. This is what we should do. It's like, no, you shouldn't. Never really blame the Warriors, but it's just how offenses became a thing. Now, what people will also remember is he's not top 10 in 2-point makes, but then also first in blocks and very high up in many, many other things, including sixth in fouls, which is a fun one. Regardless, like those kind of longevity stats are like those are the things that'll come up on whatever social media is in 15 years. It'll be like, oh, this guy passed Myles Turner for fifth in threes or sixth in games or something like that. And that will be like, oh yeah, that guy was really good for a long time. That's more of his legacy to me, is starting for a long time allows you to do a lot of things. And I know that that's very unceremonious when none of them are like amazing things, but he was the best center on their good team, on their best team, and did all that. Like that's something to me.
So I think the one stat you're missing, it's an unofficial stat. I can't prove this because I didn't do the work on it, but
okay,
I'm pretty sure, like 98% sure, that Myles Turner has worn the most variations of a Pacers jersey.
Oh, that's right. His rookie season was old era too, wasn't it?
Well, they just wear so many jerseys now.
He has red hickory in his past, does he not?
He has red hickory in his past. He has the PG era jerseys. Like he was here so long, and they wear so many jerseys now that I think he's probably like head and shoulders above anybody else in terms of number of jerseys worn.
That's a good.
I don't think Reggie. Like they didn't have as many jerseys back then. So even though he was here for a long time, I think Myles has got him beat by a bunch.
He has red hickory, gold shorts, and white hickory. TJ McConnell, I think, has white hickory also. And he has that, my least favorite jersey they've worn since I've covered the team. Do you know which one?
Is it the gray jersey?
In between hickory years, they did a gray jersey that was just awful. It's just horrible.
And then they had the earned version of that was white.
Yeah, that one was better.
There's like 4 or 5 jerseys every year now, and 3 of them are brand new. Like he's definitely on the top of the list.
That what's so funny is I thought for sure I knew what you were about to say, and you didn't say what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say he has the unofficial Pacers record for times in trade rumors, which is obviously true. Not even close, right? Like that might never be beaten.
Yes. That honestly, that's probably his legacy. Is one of the biggest things is that like he was the guy who was always in trade rumors, and then it just ended up leaving the first time he was a free agent.
Yeah, that is very ironic. But that's like the people who defend him, who are his fans. That's what they say, right? It's like, can you blame him when he was strung around like this all the time? And like, you were there at the media day when he called. We were in the hallway when we were doing the interviews that year. He's like, I know you're all about to ask about it, so I'm going to say it first. And this is the only time I'm going to say it. And he's like, I'm on the team. I don't know if I was going to be on the team. It was very weird. They almost signed DeAndre Ayton. And then that's like, oh, I'm going to extend to 6 months later. Like that's just like his whole career. And he's like the joke of it now, right? Like NBA Twitter talks about like, oh, this guy's catching up to Myles Turner in times and trade rumors. And that was always kind of the thing, right? Where it's obvious he's good. It's obvious whether teams would want him. But it's like also like, oh, the Pacers could trade him for something better. And that is the caught in between that leads you to having a 10-year career with the team with lots of awesome records and a clear, great 3-and-D skill set, but also like fans being like, hey, you should rebound more. Like, hey, you probably shouldn't get beat by Andre Drummond this much, right? We're probably too granular with that kind of stuff. because his legacy is overwhelmingly positive because he survived all those trade rumors, ironically.
Yeah, and you kind of think about those things, and it's part of why I'm also like, okay, like I get it, like why you wanted to take the much better contract from the Bucks. Like you went through all those trade rumors, all those years, all of that stuff, and then the DeAndre Ayton thing and all of that, and then like you're finally a free agent. The Pacers have a chance to negotiate with you before anyone else. So they could still finish it before he even talks to any other teams.
Yeah, look, by the way, people talk so much about July 1st. They could have signed him the day after the finals, right? Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like they'd never had to get to a point where another team was even talking to Myles Turner about anything. So like you think about all that, and they don't want to give him a contract that's as much as Naz Reid or as much as Jakob Poeltl. Like I get it. I get why Myles was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go elsewhere. Like I'm gonna like get the massive contract instead of just an okay one. And
you know what story I would like to know now is if there's any players on the Pacers right now who they got in a negotiation where they said, here's our offer, you can't shop this. You know what I mean? Like if it went the other way, because the first, like I've known about this for forever as a thing that happens in free agency. The first player I ever remember talking about it was Enes Kanter with the Blazers, like 8 or 9 years ago, like forever ago, right? It happens with lesser players than Myles Turner, certainly, because of all this stuff happens so fast, and no one wants it to get out or like have their plans revealed. So that is not surprising to me. I actually predicted that to you and many other people, like right after it happened, that was a possibility. But it is such an odd way for it to end, and that's why this conversation is not super easy, right? It's not just like, oh, it's going to keep going. If he gets to, like, if he had finished another 4-year deal, how many guys have hit 14 years with the Pacers? Reggie, and is that it? Is that literally it?
I think that's it.
Like, it would have been, that's the tier.
Foster and Smith were both 12 years. Like, I don't think anybody else is up there.
I didn't realize Foster was 12.
I think it was like he had so many years where he just didn't play very much towards the end. I think he was 12. I think it was like 2000 to
Dale was 10. I remember that. I just clicked the wrong link trying to get to Jeff Foster, so I'm just stalling by talking about Dale Davis now.
I can give a couple other miles.
Jeff Foster was actually 13 years, but year 13 with 11 games.
Yes. My random opinion about Jeff Foster is that the Pacers would have, or hot take, the Pacers would have beat the Heat in 2012 if Jeff Foster had a back in 2012. If they didn't have to play Lou Amundsen as a backup center, they could have beat him that year. Last Myles Turner memories that I got.
I have one more thought about him when you're done. So that's
my favorite Myles Turner memory is last playoffs against the Bucks when the crowd is chanting his name and he hits that 3 while they're chanting his name. Incredible stuff. One of my favorite moments in the field house ever. Only eclipsed probably by things that haven't happened this year. And then one of my only time I'll probably ever do this in anything is I think I'm the reason he has his only nickname on Basketball Reference.
I believe you are. I know exactly what this is.
Which is Samurai Myles.
Yes.
So another time where he had the bandana and the ponytail Myles, Samurai Myles. That time.
Didn't you write a story comparing his stats with the headband to? Was that someone else? I know somebody did that.
Caitlin. I feel like Caitlin might have done that. I don't know.
So a couple things. What you and I remember in that era of Samurai Myles is he had a game where he had an overtime game winner against the Bulls, and he was like sick in the game. And Sabonis was really good that night too. And they did Jeremiah Johnson doing the post game interview with Vic, and he's like, "Vic, what do you think about having 2 great centers like this? Is there any other team that has a center combo like you guys?" And he goes, "No, there's not. We have to keep both these guys for a long time." And then that did not happen. that team did not do anything. That was a fun win, though. I remember that game.
I forgot one other thing because I looked this up before.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Myles Turner is 9th all-time in most 40-point games for the Pacers with a grand total of
1?
2.
2?
He has more than Victor Oladipo, who only had 1. and more than Jermaine O'Neal. That was very surprising to me.
Wow,
Jermaine only has that one that was the 55-point game.
I was going to say he has a 50, but not a 40.
Not a regular 40 game. No.
So the 40-point Myles game I remember was they lost to the Wizards, right?
I don't.
Oh wow, wait.
They beat the Celtics.
Here's a fun trivia fact for that'll never get brought up. He has 2 40-point games for the Pacers. They lost both of them.
They lost both of those? So that's funny.
They lost to the Wizards by 1. I remember that because it was very early in the season.
Yeah.
Yes, he had. This is such a weird box score. Yeah, he had 40 points on 22 shots, dominant, and 10 boards. They lost the Wizards. And then the other one was against the Celtics. That was 2 years ago, near the end. He had 40 on 15 shots, made 8 threes, 6 free throws, and they lost.
Yeah. He was positive in both those games, right?
He was.
He looked that up. That's why I thought they won the Celtics game. But nope.
They needed more from Andrew Nembhard in that Celtics loss.
Oh, come on, Drew. That regular season game was so important.
Backup center the last time Myles Turner had 40 points. Daniel Theis. Congrats to Theis, who's balling for Germany right now over in Eurobasket. The Germany summer, as usual. They just win these games. My Myles Turner thought is one of my basketball beliefs, and specifically NBA beliefs that I would close with, is that it's not ever going to be the same with guys staying with teams as long. I think Law Murray, who covers the Clippers, The Athletic, every summer tweets this graph of players who are still with the same team they were with 5 years ago. For the Pacers right now, it's just TJ McConnell, right? It is a very small number of players. And I say this a lot on the show, but I can actually apply it to the Pacers once here. The Warriors dynasty is awesome in part one because they're sensational, right? They're maybe the best team ever. But also because the Warriors drafted the 3 dudes who did that for them, right? And so if you're a fan of the Warriors, you got to see them grow up basketball-wise, human-wise, in your city for your team. So you went through the struggles with them and the growth with them. And that makes fans more attached to players. And so that happened with Myles, where everything that we have talked about today, the weaving of, is this a 4? Is this a starter? Should he be traded for a better player? Should he be traded at all? Oh, he's really good. Can he play with Sabonis? Oh my God, he's really good with Haliburton. Holy cow, he's the starting center for a title level team right now. And as you know, because you've been to many of these events with me, starting his own foundation here with the warm stuff. He talked about the last couple of years, how much he felt like Indy became a part of his life. That kind of stuff is nearly equal to me to winning. It's not. Winning is the thing. But is nearly equal to winning and getting fans attached to players. If you can draft a player who sticks with you for a long time, this can happen. Or if you trade for them after 2 years, like in Haliburton's case, and he's still young. And so that is part of the Myles Turner legacy lore to me, is that they got him in the draft. And that's not the case for everybody we talked about today who has lots of games with the Pacers. And I think that is part of why that him leaving also stung so much, is because people saw his whole career, and it finally got to the point where everybody assumed the partnership would remain, and then it didn't. And so that made the ride more fun for fans, and then perhaps slightly more painful at the end. It felt more like, this is a very extreme word, but like betrayal.
Yep. And that's the kind of the difference when you look back at Roy and Rick. Those two guys, Rick was done, he retired, and Roy was basically done because the league changed so fast that he couldn't keep up anymore, and he was gone after a year and a half after he left Indiana. So that's kind of where these are different. We're going to keep seeing Myles presumably for at least another 4 years, and that. Yeah, especially with him being in the division, that is going to affect the view of how fans view him, because he's the enemy now for these next 4 years.
Yeah, Roy left at about the same age too, but it was clear.
Yeah, I
was in college at the time, and I remember the perception of him from even people who came from out of town to IU being like, that guy's on the ground a lot. Why is he falling down so much? And he was awesome on conference finals teams, but it was time, right? And so it's different than that. And they didn't draft Roy, obviously. They did draft Roy. He was not good. Yeah. His time was shorter with the team. So it's just different. When it happens like that, it makes the lore stronger and the connection stronger, and then it ended. And we'll see where it goes now. I will do one segment on him, certainly, and how he's doing with the Bucks when the Bucks come to Indy, but it'll also be kind of dumb to be he's played 4 games. It's not going to be that telling. But my final question for you, do you think he gets booed?
I don't know. That's going to be fascinating. I think he'll get a smattering of both.
someone else said this to me, and I think they're going to be right. So I will use their prediction. I will not say who they are. I think tribute video, big cheers, major cheers. Announced as a starter or like first couple touches. So a sum, but not the whole arena booze, I think.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's probably accurate. Yeah, I agree with that.
But after a minute of the game, that booze will be gone.
Yes.
Like it's not gonna be like Buddy in Sacramento or Paul George or anything like that.
I think a final note on his legacy, I think it's telling that I think once he retires, once Paul George retires too, like he'll be in that intro video at the beginning.
Yep.
Like without a doubt. Like he played for 10 years on some incredible teams. Like he will be included in that intro video once he is done playing in the NBA.
Pending Bucks title, which I would put a very low chance on, but Giannis is that good. Like you will remember Myles Turner when he's done playing basketball, Pacers uniform, right? Mm-hmm. Same with Roy, same with lots of guys we talked about today. That's not the case for Paul, obviously, but that is also. That's also.
I guess I got one last comparison.
I could do this with you for forever. Just like, one more thing. Wait, one more.
5 more things. So Antonio Davis, like he got traded, went to the Raptors, made an all-star team that first year with the Raptors.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could see the path with the East being so weak this year. If Giannis is like a monster and the Bucks are like good to start the year and Myles is like their second leading scorer, I could see it happening in that little bit. Like, I don't think it's going to, but I could see a little bit of that kind of Pacers history repeating in that way.
Not unreasonable. And dude, like part of me wants him to have some accolade. Like he's had a good enough career that it's like, is it really going to be the only thing he ever has is like all rookie team? Like,
fifth place in DPOI.
Fifth place Defensive Player of the Year. Like, that's not fair. I guess it is fair, right? But it just feels wrong.
He's got a lot of money. I think he's got those accolades.
Yes, many generations of Turners are.
They're
thankful that he is very good. The end of this. Now I'm going to get a lot of comments, Derek. Are you ready for them? I'm over it. I'm over Myles. Don't care.
Like, I'm not expecting this to be your highest listened podcast.
But I wish people could remember things that they enjoyed instead of just being like, oh, the most recent thing is the only thing that matters. That's like a sports thing in general, honestly.
It's very true. I'm going to hold on to this last season forever, probably as a fan. So, yeah.
And you were in the building when maybe, I don't know if this is number one euphoric because they won finals games in Indiana, but like Myles Turner yelling Indiana into the mic and holding the trophy, like top 2, 3, 4 moment of the year. It's in the top 5, undeniably.
Like, 100%. Like he's in those finals intro videos doing that. Like it's incredible. Obviously, his last series with the Pacers was not a good one. He didn't have a good series against the Thunder. If you want to go over the shortcomings, Caitlin covered them pretty thoroughly in her piece.
Yeah, like incredibly. Like I watched that game and didn't even notice this. I was there. Golly.
Yeah.
It's incredible. All right. Derek, I don't have to talk about Myles Turner anymore.
Congratulations.
You probably don't either.
I'm not going to track his blocks unless he blocks TJ McConnell. The Myles High Club will not be updated. I'm not going to post about it.
You have finished his Pacers tenure, though, right?
I finished his Pacers tenure. And when you get the number, how many players he's blocked? Myles Turner blocked 482 players with the Indiana Pacers.
Really?
482. I have no idea what that
for 1,400 blocks. That's like an average of 2 or 3 per player, which makes sense.
Yes. Well, that is including playoffs, so it's like
over,
but that's only another 126. So it's a little less than 3.
So 1,600. Yeah, that's less. That's very interesting. That does make sense because like you'd be guarding the same player a lot of the time when you play the team again.
And you got like Giannis who's got 30 some.
So. Right. That is fascinating. No other project like that. And there might not be a Turner like careers. A career like Turner's for the Pacers for a long time. Role player longevity, very rare. Star player longevity, less rare. Fascinating career. I really want to talk about this. I'm glad we could. Derek, where can people find you and the things you say, including where Myles High Club is, even though there's not a lot of content about the Pacers right now. Training camp's in a few weeks.
yes, we'll get going soon. I have some things in the well that are ready to go. I just need to get them out there. The ipacers.com is where the website is. Not a lot of new stuff there, but will be soon. Twitter at ipacers blog, Blue Sky, ipacers. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for having me.
Derek, you're always welcome. You might be back very soon because events are actually like happening. You will be at them with me. I'm on those places that Derek is at Tony Arias' podcast, as an Instagram at Locked On Pacers, and is on Twitter under the same name. Thank you all for listening. Tomorrow, a guest is joining us. We're going to talk about the biggest Pacers killers that we have covered. And I have a fond guy at the top of my list who isn't even that good of a player. Should be fun. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you soon.